Hello music creators, Mike here, and in this video I'm going to show you a plugin which you can use to control and design the stereo field on any instrument in your music production. It's called StereoSavage, so let's check it out right now. So let's start with the most important thing, which of course is the sound. So I have recorded 4 different parts here on 4 different instruments: a piano, a pad in Omnisphere, short staccato strings, and a bass part. So I will go through all of these just to demonstrate, and I have used different presets inside StereoSavage. Now what I will do is I will play this through and I will turn it on and off during the sequence. So I want you to really listen carefully, preferably on headphones to really hear the full effect. So playing in 3, 2, 1. So that's on piano. Let's listen to the next one, which is this pad here in Omnisphere. And I will do the same thing. Alright, that's the pad in Omnisphere, and I made sure to make it more pronounced in that case with this little rhythmic movement. The next one is these short strings. So, and of course you can see the preset I've used right here. I might have done some changes to it, but let's play it in 3, 2, 1. Right, so that's the short strings. And now finally the bass, which is always the hardest thing to hear, but the bass is completely in mono, but with StereoSavage I'm adding some stereo effects here and slight movement, but I cut out the lower part so it doesn't affect the bass end of the sound. So playing in 3, 2, 1. Cool. So if you listened on good headphones, you should be able to hear all of these presets on these parts very clearly. Now, of course, how much of the effect you use is up to you. In most cases, with stereo and widening effects like this, less is more, because the more you use them on other instruments in your mix, the more you get that final overall sound with where it all adds up. If you check out the link in the video description, you can learn more about StereoSavage. So what is StereoSavage? Well, as you can hear from the name, it's a plugin focused on stereo effects. So I have this piano here in addictive keys. And I will use that to demonstrate the various aspects of this plugin. So first of all, it's module based. You can turn it on and off modules like so, all of these, except this one for some reason, but you can also use the Alt or Option key just to set everything here. Left click with the Alt key to the default position, and now it basically doesn't do anything because it's the default setting. What is great is it's very easy to get started using this plugin, because click the menu and you can open up the manual in your web browser, which is very well made, or start the tour. Left click with your mouse to go through every section and you get an explanation for everything here. But you should also go into the manual, read especially the individual different effects, what they do. So these 4 are all stereo effects that basically creates a stereo field in different ways. So this is with detune, this is with delay, this is basically early reflections, and this is a frequency band splitter that all add a sense of stereo. So without, with, And with lots of settings, you get that super detuned sound. You can use that for that home feel or bar, old vintage piano from a Western movie, something. I like delay. Basically creating the Haas effect to add stereo. Widening before. With. And you can mix with this dry and wet knob here. Expand again is basically a room heavier early reflections. And split is the most natural of them all. It basically is a frequency band splitter to add stereo into different frequency bands. Without. With. And you can adjust this knob here to basically manipulate the frequency band. Right, then you have the stereo adjuster, just stereo widening or stereo narrowing to complete mono. And you have a pan here and also rotation, which is basically when you have any stereo sound, like natural, you have the width, but you also have a center point. So you can adjust the center point of the stereo sound without affecting the edges. Just basically the focus point, which is more subtle than panning, which pushes everything, including the edges. Then you have, of course, the level here, and the input routing here. You can actually mono sum to make it a mono from a stereo signal, or force it to stereo from a mono signal, swap left and right. Can be useful. I don't use it that much personally. Then this is very useful because any sound you add stereo to, the usual guideline is to have the bass, the low end in mono, so you can turn this on and adjust where you want the stereo effects to apply, and below this frequency it will leave those intact, so you can have that clear low end still. So up here you get the stereo, but the low end, apart from the overtones of course, but the main low end is now unaffected. Then if you turn that off, go to the LFO, this is where you can add modulation. And you can sync it to your DAW. You can set these different waveforms, adjust the speed, even the phase, and then choose which parameter. For example, let's auto pan like this at a quite high speed, and you get almost a tremolo. Or use a low speed with a lower setting just to add some slow movement. It can be great for pads and such. And you can even apply it to parameters inside the effect section, such as, let's say expand size here. So of course this has to be turned on for this to do anything. Okay, so not that much, like so. And of course this is basically doing this. So that is more of a sound effect, in my opinion. You can do it for the delay, and if you put it on high speed, you can make this kinds of before with. Let's see. Oh, it's on size. It's on delay here. This. Let's push it even higher. And of course, that you can use for many, sound effects, but with subtle settings and slower speeds, it can be really useful. So those are basically all the modules here. Now, one drawback I have found is that this sync button, where you can sync the LFO to note value, let's say quarter notes. If I play now, put it on, let's say, panning. It doesn't really do anything because I need to play the sequencer. otherwise it doesn't do anything, even though it syncs. Without the sync on, it works still. So I found that that is a little minor drawback. The sync, it works, but you have to have the sequencer playing in order for it to take effect. So other than that, all in all, this is a great stereo widener and stereo effects plugin. Not only a simple stereo widener, but you can do so much more, especially with these 4 effects and with the LFO for some subtle slow modulation. And that, including with the stereo adjustment, is just great. Of course, you can use if you load up the factory presets here, but I find it so simple and easy to use the modules that I just turn them on and dive in and do the sound design myself. So check out the link in the video description, and I will see you in the next video. Now choose which video you are going to watch next, or you can check out the amazing bonuses in the video description.